Ready?
I'm ready, man.
Derek, what's up, dude?
Ryan, what's going on, man?
Dude, look at our display here. I love this.
This is exciting. You know, we're in New Jersey. Guns in the backyard, man. Fires, cigars.
I feel like I'm up in the mountains somewhere.
Yeah, man.
In a free state.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
at least we got a warm night.
Yeah, it's not bad.
We do have some snow around us.
That's
but
all right.
this was from days ago, and it's actually all melting because of the heat. So
Yep.
thank God for that.
No, it's gonna melt from the heat that we're gonna put out tonight. So
we're gonna lay down the fire as you put on your post today. I like that. That was funny. You know, it's so funny. I showed that to a couple people that I just ran into. You know, my operations guy was working with me today, and even my wife, and she's like, "Is this guy crazy?" I'm like, "No, he just knows how to get people fired up. You know, grab your eye."
Yeah.
And I like that about you. I think we first connected after I did Jamie's podcast. Either I followed you or I saw you shooting with him or something like that. And I was like, all right, this guy's going. I'm like, I don't really know what his deal is. I'll kind of monitor him. He could be somebody good for the show. And long story short, we had chatted a little bit. You had said, you know, the podcast seems cool. We'd love to be on. And again, I thank you for coming on.
No problem,
I know you're
anytime.
hustling. Got a little baby at home, baby boy.
Little Giovanni. Almost 3 months old.
Yep, and you're a married man, so your wife is there as on top of being a business owner. So a lot of that stuff is extremely time consuming. So I
Exciting
appreciate
time in my life right now.
it. It is.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And when your boy is 2, as you just seen Colton, just the stuff that you start to do with them and they start to understand. And
I can't wait till they get to that age, you know, where he could be walking around next to you and bringing them out for car rides and out shooting some guns
absolutely.
and all that
Well,
good stuff.
you know, we're jumping ahead, but let's let my ADD roll. What age would you recommend, based on the training and all the certs that you have, a kid should start shooting a gun or can?
I like to tell parents to at least teach their kids as young as possible. At least
Show them it.
show them, you know, what's right from wrong. You know, guns are dangerous if they're in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
You know, so safety is key. Like as long as you start about safety right from the beginning, like keeping your finger off the trigger, never pointing your muzzle in a direction of other people or anything like that. You know, if you start blasting that into the kid's head, you know, right from the get-go, you know, they'll learn over the years as you get going until the time you bring them to a range, you know.
Yeah,
Then
I
they're
showed Colton. Not a toy. Not a toy.
Not a toy. Not a toy.
Not a toy. And just for everybody who may be offended, some of our friends on the slight left, none of these weapons are loaded. So,
Absolutely.
and I asked this gentleman here who's got all these certifications if you wanted a bourbon, and you were clear about no alcohol with the guns, which I fully understand.
It's all about safety.
Yeah, safety, man. It's everything. I have a lockbox that's locked with a key, a code, and my fingerprint. Additional weapons are put up, you know, very high where it's out of the reach of the kids, as well as my wife. Not that she would use it unless needed to. So I'm all about the safety as well. So let's jump into your story a little bit. You know, a little housekeeping. This show is about displaying people who didn't either take the traditional route, meaning they weren't a great high school student, they may have gotten kicked out of high school, or they didn't go to college or got kicked out of college, or they jumped out of the rat race, right? They made a shift in their life, late 30s, early 40s, where they said, I'm done working for corporate America. I'm going to go out and create my own freedom and flexibility, which Mike, from our last episode, did for himself. You know, was able to spend some more time with his kids. So you grew up in South River, right?
South River, yeah. Little tiny town in central New Jersey. I don't know. What can I say about me? I was a troublemaker growing up. You know, growing up I was always getting into trouble, fighting and doing stuff that I wasn't supposed to do, and you know,
Did that start at like a young age, like 12,
a young
13?
age? You know, I was a typical kid. You know, I just wanted to go out and have fun. I was skateboarding all the time and skating in places that we weren't supposed to, getting trespassed and stuff, and you know, writing on high school rival school buses, and you know, that was a typical me. You know, getting into fights in high school all the time, but.
That was like the brick kids I grew up with. We all kind of did
man. It's like
very similar things.
As we get older, we all seem to get wiser. You know, we all grow out of that stuff. You know, at some point in someone's life or path, you're going to realize, like, you know, maybe this isn't the way. Maybe I got to do something for myself or for my family, you know, like there's got to be a breaking point. And I've had a few breaking points where like, what am I doing with my life? You know, I've hopped through job after job. I probably had, you know, in my teens, I probably had 30, 40 jobs, you know, because I couldn't keep anything, or I was sick of it, or I just didn't like people. Like, it just, you know, it was tough finding who I am and what I loved.
Yeah.
And, you know, my whole career path was, you know, I tried to follow my father. He was a big construction worker. He came to America, you know, in the early 70s and started a construction business.
From where?
From Poland.
Poland.
And he just started building houses and doing siding and construction and stuff like that, and just, you know, providing for his family. And at first I was like, you know what, maybe I'll go into the construction route. Maybe I'll try doing construction, working for my cousins or uncles or whatever. Didn't work out. Then my father helped me get my commercial driver's CDL, and I was driving tractor trailers for a long time. That route I felt comfortable in, you know, because I'm by myself in a truck, just hustling, driving 10, 12 hours a day at the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I felt like I could be who I am then. And I got canned from my last...
Yeah, let me, before you get too ahead,
Yeah.
let me kind of bring you back and, you know, pick apart some of that. So, troubled youth, you know, probably from, you know, your young teens on through high school. I think it was your first or second year out of high school, you were kicked out of high school. What were you kicked out for?
So, in South River, I would always get into trouble all the time. You know, I would get in-school suspension and stuff like that. So ISS, man, that was my go-to place. You know, I'd be in there at least 3 days a week. You know, so
same.
And there's, you know, there's a friend of mine, Ashley. We were in ISS together, and we both had the same class, and we were in, you know, doing like this whole test thing. And I stood up in ISS and walked over and stood over her, and I was like, hey, can you help me out with this question or something like that? And the teacher during that one period, you know, was like, why are you sexually harassing this girl? And I lost it, dude. I lost it. I went back, I grabbed my chair, I chucked it at the teacher, and I'm like, you know, don't ever accuse me. Even Ashley was like, you know, he just asked me for a simple question. And principal called me into the office, and he was like, I'm going to have to suspend you for 2 months. And I said, fuck it, I'm out, dude. You know, just, I'm never coming back to this shithole again. You know, it's just always stupid stuff going on. And I'm like, you know, maybe high school isn't for me.
Now, do you look back, because I have certain situations that are very similar, not regards to the sexual harassment, but points in school where I just lost it, said, fuck you, and they gave me the boot. Do you ever regret? And again, we should never look behind us. Do you have a slight thought in your more mature self, with the wisdom that you have obtained now? Do you think, hey, you know, maybe I could have handled that situation a little bit different?
Yes and no, you know, because in a way, I felt it like it shaped me who I am today. You know, I don't need guidance. I don't need guidance from somebody. You know what I mean? Like I'm creating my own fate. I'm creating my own history, pretty much.
That
you know?
step
So,
maybe led you to where you are today. And again, I'm not saying you should.
Yeah.
Some people are like, man, I wish I was better in school. I wish that. I personally believe everything that I did
happened for a reason.
And there was a destiny for me.
Yeah.
Mike Gorman, I don't know if you watched that one at all. He's the older gentleman who's the estate attorney.
Yep.
Many lives, and he's all into this, you know, spiritual stuff. I'm not saying I believe in what he does, but I do think whether it be God, spirits, the universe, whatever it is, you are predestined to kind of, you know, be what you're going to be.
Yep.
So I fully agree with you. So you get kicked out, you go over to New Brunswick or Old Bridge?
No, to Old Bridge, yeah. So I graduated out of Old Bridge there, did my final 2 years. You know, after bouncing around from a couple different schools, you know, I went to different academies and stuff, got kicked out of there, ended up going to Old Bridge and graduated out of there. And then it was just, you know, it was putting the big boy pants on and finding out what I'm going to do, you know, what kind of job I wanted to do. I got into trucking, and I just stayed with trucking once I turned 21. And at one final moment where I was just, you know, driving across the country, I was doing tours for Simon Detour, you know, driving all these, like the Jonas Brothers, around all their equipment and stuff from mall to mall across America, you know, and I just couldn't do it no more, you know, bouncing around on the road for 10, 12 hours a day, man, really, you know, messes up your back. And I said, screw it, you know, I quit that job, I was sitting at home on my computer, just looking around shit to do, and Cerakote came about, you know, like a ceramic refinishing for firearms.
Yeah, and that's something you've kind of like specialized in and almost become an artist in it.
During high school, or during my high school times, I was huge into art. I loved drawing. I loved, you know, painting stuff. Like, I was always into that stuff. So I figured, you know what? I have a creative sense, you know, I have artistic ability. Let me see if I could apply that into the firearms world. So I looked for a, you know, local company to see if anybody did it. Ended up finding a place. Was working there for 3 years, you know, taking this firearms thing off the ground, and eventually got shit canned from there too, because, you know, just things didn't work out, and it basically lit a fire under my ass, and I said, fuck it, I'm never working for any man again on this planet, dude. I am me now. And
see, that's something, that's a nugget that I want people to understand.
Yeah.
You got to burn the boats,
yeah,
jump off the cliff,
yeah,
and go. And just losing is not an option. Failure is not an option. And have
keep
that
on
mindset.
trying until you feel like you've exhausted every opportunity. And, you know, working for these other places, they're just stepping stones. They're milestones in my life. I learned certain things during, you know, my time with this company. I learned certain things with this job, you know what I mean? So I apply all those things together, and now once you finally start your own business, you remember all those times that you were working for the other people, or how to do this, how to do that, you know.
Gain knowledge and experience.
Gain knowledge and experience in a business platform, and, you know, here we are today. So
you were how old once you had left your previous employer? You said you were there 3 years.
Well, I'm 35 now, so I've been doing this for about almost 8 years now. So this is probably like 8.5, 9 years ago.
And did you start painting the guns in a shop? Did you have a setup at your house?
I started a small little rinky-dinky shop in my apartment building in South River. You know, my father helped me put it together, dude. We makeshifted a freaking spray booth. We knocked a hole in the retainer wall and put a fan in there, made our own spray booth, and I just have at it, you know. Just, I was doing Cerakote jobs for local cops and local friends and people who knew who I was, you know. I mean, they saw my artistic ability in Cerakoting, and I kind of just snowballed it from there.
Yeah.
You know, I tracked enough money, or gained enough money to finally be able to move it to a next level. I rented a little space from another little store in New Jersey, in Woodbridge. Was there for about 5-6 months, and me and that guy, we just couldn't see eye to eye. Like, I would come in the morning, like, I'm renting space from him, doing jobs for him. I would have my own little cubicle in the bottom of his store, and if you came in and the door was open, he'd be like, why the fuck is this door open? Well, you know, that doesn't sit well with me. Like,
yeah.
So I couldn't do it there either. So I gained enough money, and we started our first little shop, Savage Cerakote, in Old Bridge. You know, it was a hole in the wall behind a chip chop shop, behind a chainsaw store, you know, on 18, you know, in the middle of the slums, and then we snowballed it from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And fast forward, you moved over to your spot now in Spotswood. And prior to, I want to actually just rewind a minute.
Yeah.
Prior to all that, getting your FID card was a problem for you actually getting into the gun space.
Yeah.
You had some problems in your local police department that maybe because of your childish ways and some of the things that you did while you were getting in trouble, you had some people that weren't a big fan of yours.
Yeah, so, you know, obviously growing up in South River, you know, I was known as the troublemaker. Every cop knew who I was. They're like, yeah, that's Derek, you know, always causing trouble or you know, causing problems and stuff. And, you know, I believe that had all with, you know, not getting my FID card and getting that denial and stuff like that. Even though I didn't have anything major on my record, you know, but it was enough for them to say, you know, this guy's had enough incidences with the law, you know, we're not going to push it through. And, you know, I looked into further outlets, you know, getting lawyers and moving up the chain.
So you were driven to do this. You were driven to do the Cerakoting. You were driven to sell guns.
I never let anybody tell me that I can't do something in life, you know.
Yeah, so you put your head down and said,
that's it.
At some point I'm going to be able to get this FID card. It may mean getting over, around, and under some hurdles.
Yeah.
But this is my end vision, and I'm going to chase it down as long as it takes me.
This is my passion, you know. So I'm going to chase it. I'm going to be the best that I can. I'm going to be the best store in New Jersey. And hell, you know, even one day, if God lets me take it there, then I'll be the best in the country.
Yeah.
So.
And, you know, moving back to SE Arms and your store in Spotswood, about how many square feet do you have there? You have a paint booth, you have storage.
We started off renting off one little space. You know, it used to be like a laundromat or something like that, and took over that one space. You know, it was a small little shop. You know, I had like 2 cabinets, you know, just 10 guns in there on display, and more of my business was the Cerakoting and stuff. And, you know, in Old Bridge still, we started small with retail. I was like, you know, let me try this. You know, I got access to distributors, and let me see where I could take it from there, you know. So I ordered 1 or 2 guns and saw people were like, wow, you know, this is great. You know, you should get more guns or more accessories or more ammo. And it was just always figuring out new things, like how am I going to, you know, display more guns or display ammo or, you know, advertise my business, you know. So it was always progressing as we go. Started off that one side in Spotswood, you know, with just retail and Cerakote now, and it just, you know, it blew up from there.
And you blew out the wall next door, took over the...
You know, after 2 years of being on one side and having the entire showroom packed with people shoulder to shoulder, you know, and no room to put gun boxes in the back, I said, I either got to move and find a bigger building or I got to do something. And, you know, it just happened to happen. The dollar store guy next door couldn't pay his rent. Something happened with him and his wife, and he had to up and leave. And I was like, you know what, this is gold. I contacted the landlord. I was like, hey, how much for me to take over the spot next door, and would you be opposed to me knocking a hole in the wall and combining 2 stores? That way I could still have one address and not have to get another FFL. And he says, have at it, you know, just do everything, you know, do everything by the book, knock the hole in the wall, and now I got a 3,000 square foot showroom with, you know, probably the most stocked store in New Jersey.
Now I want to touch on that real quick about knocking the hole in the wall and how that still wraps under one FFL.
Yeah.
For people who maybe aren't as experienced in guns, and we know in the media, especially over the last 10 years, you know, big time over the last 4 years, even during the Trump era, there was a real attack on guns. Even with that riot that went on out west, you know, you had this young kid who was attacked and he had to utilize a weapon to protect himself, and you start to hear the media going, they're flaring this and that. Yeah. But the actual restrictions that legal gun owners have on themselves, the understanding of safety, right? Just like why you won't have a bourbon while we're sitting here with completely empty, you know, clips. We have no ammo anywhere in sight. They're still like, hey, I'm not going to drink, you know, when we have guns out.
That's being a responsible gun owner.
Being a responsible gun owner. So making sure that you're following all these proper guidelines that are put into place by the people following the laws. We still have people who, you know, get upset at guns and don't understand the hoops you need to jump through to sell them, to own them. So explain a little bit about that FFL and being underneath one umbrella, the 2 storefronts.
So, you know, any address has to have its own FFL. My loophole to that was I'm still in the same building. It's a plaza. There's multiple stores there. Suite 1 through 5. You know, I'm suite 4 and 5. And the reason why I did that is because I knocked a hole in the wall. So it's basically one unit, and you use one door still to get in. And I put a sign on the other door, please use other door for entry, you know. So I still have suite 4 and 5, but, you know, I'm operating under my suite 5, you know, because I just basically expanded my space. You know, I knocked a hole in the wall. So it's one giant open showroom. You know, that's the way.
And what are the other type of restrictions or laws do you have to follow in regards to being an arms dealer?
Security. I'm big with security. You might have seen those people trying to break into my store. It was all over it was all over the news. You know, they came in and they did news reports there. Security. These people that open gun stores, they think that they could just open a gun store and not be safe. You know, like the people that tried robbing my store, immediately after robbing or trying to attempt to rob my store, went to North Jersey a half hour later and tried to attack or break into another store by throwing a cinder block through the window. They literally threw a cinder block through the window, went in, broke the glass case, took the guns, and took off. You know, like
guns are expensive. You know, they're expensive item.
That's not me, man. Like I'll spend the money on getting the proper security, like the stainless steel sheeting that are on the back of the windows, bulletproof tinting, mirror tinting, like anything to stop an intruder from coming in, you know, alarms, sensors, everything.
Back to the question though, what is the guidelines though? So you have ammo there that you're selling.
So when you're opening a gun store, they always require things. They always require safe, surveillance cameras, and you know, safe entry into the store or something like that. So they'll come and inspect it before they even approve your FFL. You know, state police will come out, ATF will come out, they'll do a walkthrough, they'll be like, okay, you got security cameras, you have this, you have that, you're good to go. You know, they'll tell you.
Now, what about people who may be coming into the store that may be in a bad time in their life, or they're involved in some shady business? Is there some type of requirement? You know, in my world, in finance, without saying too much, because I'm not allowed to, you know, there's a requirement of me to make sure that they're not doing illegal, you know, monetary transactions, money laundering, things of that nature. And if something happens underneath my nose, whether I knew it or not, I could be held responsible. Are you supposed to keep, obviously you have to fill out an application and get all those things approved to purchase a gun. But
you apply through the ATF and state police for your federal license, and they take it from there, you know. They'll tell you what steps you got to take. They got to tell you, you know, what you need, you know, what type of security you need. They'll walk you through all those steps. You know, anybody can open an FFL. You just have to have a storefront. You know, in earlier years, you used to be able to open an FFL right from your own house. You know, and I think over the years, you know, so many people were applying for home-based FFLs. They're like, you know, yeah, you should probably put a kibosh to that, because a lot of people were using FFLs to be able to get, you know, certain types of weapons that not everybody could get. And those guys were like, yeah, you know, I'm cool, I got this, you know, I got that. And they would bring a gun to another range and get in trouble with it. And that's kind of like where I think ATF started putting a kibosh on home-based FFLs.
Now, there is different tiering, right? So, for example,
different levels, yeah.
Fully automatic machine gun that you have behind us is from the 60s. This was actually a military weapon.
That would be considered a Class 3 dealer. We're allowed to have, you know, the full auto machine guns, the SBRs, the NFA items, sort of say.
Is that a special qualification?
Special license, so you just apply for it, you know, and you get your rectum checked more than most law enforcement in this state, and they come and they do a record check on you, and you get your certificate and your license, and there you go.
So again, you know, I'm kind of trying to drill down a point here with people who are afraid of weapons and don't have an understanding of weapons, and nor do I think I'm, you know, a great marksman or a gunsmith, but I do have a basic understanding of the laws. Let's talk about the requirement in the state of New Jersey that varies for some other states that are a little bit more free, like making sure that we pin the bump stock.
So New Jersey, your base on all compliant rifles is, you know, you have to have a pinned or fixed stock, a pinned or welded muzzle brake.
And for people that don't know, what's the pin mean, and what is the use of them making you do that?
It's you know, the law in New Jersey pisses me off, because you could have a non-NFA other that has an adjustable pistol brace and a 10.5 or 12.5 inch barrel. That's 100% legal in New Jersey. But we have a 16-inch rifle over here that's not much longer than a non-NFA gun, but now you have to pin a stock and pin a muzzle brake and have the 10-round mag. You know, to me, it doesn't make sense, but that's these laws that people are putting into place. It's stupid if you ask me, but that's the difference. You know, a non-NFA firearm, you can have adjustable pistol braces and flash suppressors on it. But a 16-inch rifle, you have to have your pin muzzle brake and a pin stock.
Does it have anything to do with, and this may be a uneducated question, but does it have anything to do with the bump stocks and being able to turn something that isn't an automatic rifle into it?
They think that if it's more concealable, sort of say, you know, or easily adjustable for different reasons, you know, whatever their reason may be.
If someone has a problem and they're mentally ill and they're going to inflict harm on people,
an adjustable stock's not going to stop you from doing any of that shit.
You can pull up in your car, you know, over here in Manaloka, and there was a young cop that pulled someone over. The guy was fully decked out in body armor, had a ton of ammo and weapons in the vehicle, and under the influence, he actually crashed. That's how they got him.
Do you think a criminal in New Jersey, a criminal, is going to follow a 10 round fucking mandate on a mag?
No.
You think he's going to follow that? No. He's going to go out to different states or go somewhere else and buy 30 round mags because it's legal in other states. You know what I mean? There's nothing that prevents you from going to a gun show in Pennsylvania and buying a 30 round mag because it's legal there. It's a free state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But even if a smart criminal lived in New Jersey and said, you know, yeah, we got a 10 round mag capacity. You think he's going to go somewhere with one mag? No, he's going to have 100 mags. You know what I mean? 10 round mags. It's just stupid. You know, there's no point for a 10 round mag capacity. There's no point for a pin stock. There's no point for a pin muzzle brake.
Yeah.
You know, why have it on one thing and you can't have it on the other?
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. It's kind of like COVID. There are rules for COVID. But jump back in. We gave the cameras a quick break. We shot off a couple rounds.
We got sparkling waters.
Spin drift.
Cheers.
Hashtag spin drift. You know, we'll throw you in a cooler all summer. So I wanted to talk about these quick weapons. Or quickly about these weapons, I should say. So this I actually recently purchased from you. I'd been searching around for ARs. Again, I'm not an expert on weapons, but I did know that Daniel Defense was doing a great job. They're an American company. Yep. They're out of Georgia, correct?
Yep.
And this is something that you painted or you ordered it in this color? This
came in that color.
Yeah. Was something like a brownish green color I was kind of looking for. You called it doo-doo brown, I think. I mean, that's an insult. I think it looks good.
Doo-doo brown because I got a Knight's Armament gun, an original Knight's Armament gun. It's a Navy SEAL gun. It took me almost 2 years to find 2 missing pieces. And I put it on the Knight's Armament page. I think it was like on Facebook or something like that. And I posted a picture of it. And those dudes hammered me. They're like, who the fuck would paint this thing doo-doo brown and stuff like that? So, you know what? Fuck those guys. Doo-doo brown is my color. And
I think it looks great. I love it.
And, you know, it flies with me. And I love browns and I love tans and stuff like that. So that's my color from now on. Every time I see a brown rifle, it's doo-doo brown.
Let's quickly talk about this AR and some of the accessories that you either ordered it with or you added to when it came to your store. Just briefly go over some of the basics of it for people.
So, you know, when you came in or any other customer comes into my store, I love having options. All my employees that are there, you know, they're so well knowledgeable in the firearms world and accessories and gear and stuff like that. And most people, when they come and buy a gun, you know, they always want to accessorize it. They want to do this to it. They want to do that to it. So why not have everything in-house and give people options? You know, I might not have everything in the world, but
we didn't have a red dot for it. We do need to get it.
But we do have some nice selections of red dots, you know. But we have a lot in stock, you know, and you picked a great rifle to begin with. Daniel Defense makes a quality product. You know, they do have military contracts. They are used all over the world. And that's a phenomenal platform, you know. And then from there, you could take it to the next level. You could put, you know, different bulk carrier groups and triggers and slings and attachments to it.
Yeah, we put a sling on it. We added the handle.
You could definitely personalize it to your being, you know, to your liking. So,
and then in the middle is a gun that I actually purchased prior to meeting you, which is just a basic home defense weapon. It's a 12 gauge shotgun. Talk a little bit about the different shotguns and specifically the 12 gauge.
There is so many shotguns on this planet. I always tell people, you know, you're going to have to see what your preference is, what your end goal is. What are you looking to do with it? Are you looking to target shoot? Are you looking for home defense? Are you looking to go clay bird shooting? Like, what's your end goal with a specific, you know, firearm platform? So
I purchased that while all the riots were going on and the, you know, organizations were threatening to going into regular towns and cities, and I said, I got a kid and a wife. I need something for home defense.
So that's a great option for that because, one, it's a pistol-gripped pump-action shotgun. It's got sights on it. It's got rails so you could attach, you know, a flashlight or a laser or something like that.
And I learned through the last guys, Duncan Defense, flashlights in a home defense case, God forbid you ever had to protect your family.
Key, major key.
It's key because they want to make sure that you're able to identify the person entering your home. Make sure it's not an old person with senile.
Exactly. So, in a shotgun sense, a lot of people, either shoulder fire it or hip fire it. I'm a big fan of hip firing stuff. So, most of my shotguns all have lights and lasers on them because I'm not shoulder firing it, walking it through the house. I have it at my hip, so I have both eyes on what's going on around me. Whether my wife pops out of the room or a kid pops out of the room, you don't want to accidentally point the muzzle at them or something like that. And
the lasers make your gun so accurate. If you're anywhere close to that laser.
For a shotgun, most home defense scenarios happen within 15 yards or less.
And it's buckshot.
And if you got a shotgun with, home defense ammo in it, you're not missing, dude. Where that laser's pointed is where that round's going. You know what I mean? As long as it's sighted in, as long as it's not 2 feet over to the left or something, But you gotta, you gotta take time and go to the range and sight your stuff in.
My handgun, I had it all sighted in. We have a light and a laser combo on there, and we practice using the sights a lot as well as the laser.
That is good to have on all shotguns for sure. Lights and lasers. Yep.
And this weapon we briefly referred to earlier. This is a gun from the 60s. It's a military weapon. It is a machine gun.
Yes.
This is something that you painted yourself. What was your kind of...
So, I'm big into the old wartime era guns, World War I, II stuff. This happens to be a World War II era gun. It's a Colt Model 2. To the regular civilian, it is illegal. You do have to have a Class 3 license for that because it's stamped Colt AR-15 on there, and it is a full auto machine gun too. So we have special licensing for that. But
are you able to fire something like that at a range in New Jersey?
Certain ranges. There's a lot of guys that don't like them because they don't know who you are. They don't know what kind of experience you have. But there is some local ranges that know me and know the training that I've done and know that I have a lot of Class 3 firearms. So they allow me to.
Now, is this something that you would sell out of your store? Or?
To local law enforcement or military, we can. Yes, absolutely. But to the civilian, you cannot.
And that's something I want to jump into. And briefly, everybody knows what a handgun is for. We didn't want to bring mine out, but a handgun is obviously something you can use for personal protection or home defense as well. I have a Glock 5th generation. But you do a lot with law enforcement.
I do.
So someone who doesn't know you, thinking this guy's a gun guy, they see your social media, which you do a great job of grabbing eyeballs on and getting people talking, because that's what people don't realize it's actually all about in regards to marketing. You do a lot with law enforcement in regards to donating guns, ammo, as well as selling to a lot of police officers in those
services
locations.
too. Like what got me on the map too, I guess, would be back when I was in Old Bridge, when I had my small little shop. I said, you know what, I'm doing good. The store's expanding and growing. Let me give back to the community or something. So I found the local township, Spotswood, and from their cops coming into the store and seeing who I was or what I was doing, I asked them what kind of shotguns they had, and they said they had Remington 870s, and they were all beat up. And I was like, what, perfect. I refinish firearms for a living. I was like, let me donate this to the town. Let me take all of their service weapons, disassemble all of them, Cerakote them, go through their mechanics, make sure they're 100%, put new stocks on them, number them so every car has a numbered shotgun in them so they know which one to grab. And now they're perfect functioning firearms for the law enforcement that they could use, for another 30 years, And that's basically how I started and got on the map, just doing stuff for law enforcement.
Yeah, so recently you were in some type of court setting, and you were either donating guns or you had...
That was a video posting the recognition from Spotswood when we did the firearms forum.
That's awesome. And are you working with other local...
Yeah, I'm a main gunsmith for a couple other local police departments and their SWAT teams and stuff like that. Anybody that has issues with their guns, machine guns, anything like that, for Edison SWAT team, Edison Police Department, South Brunswick, Spotswood,
you do anything
East
with Monroe?
Brunswick guys. I've helped out a lot of Monroe guys. I'm not familiar with all of them, but they use their specific guys. But a lot of them do come to me, when they need help. If they need something fixed, clean, done, or something quick on the fly, we always take care of the guys, especially all local PDs. And I tell those guys too, reach out to all your other chiefs in towns. Any police department that needs something in the state of New Jersey, I will take care of you. I will hook you up. If you need guns, if you need ammos, if you need gear, reach out to me, you know, because I know times are tough right now. Ammo is really hard to get. I got great connections for ammo. So if you can't get something from a local supplier, reach out to me. I might be able to donate a case or two to you, you know, for the police department for qualifying and stuff. I know how it is out there.
So let me ask you this in regards to the ammo, because this is something that I'm actually, you know, thoroughly curious about. I belong to a coaching group called the Lion's Den with Sean Whalen, and big on weapons. You know, naturally he's going to attract, you know, business owners that are hustling in the space that think like he does. There's a good amount of guys in there that are authorized dealers, but they're really, I could tell, or I think from afar, you know, have a garage set up at their house, or you know, something in their basement, or a very small storefront. You know, what is your process that you go through to make sure that you're getting quality ammo and you're dealing with somebody that's legit?
Being in the business for many years, you kind of like, you'll go through the people, and you know who's legit and who's not. You know, I've been doing this long enough to say that, you know, I know some of the big players out there in the firearms world, and you know, I find my own avenues. You know, a lot of these people, you know, especially in New Jersey now, everybody's saying that ammo is expensive. Well, you know, ammo is really tough to get because they're short on primers and components in the country, or even in the world. You know, other people are scrambling to get stuff. You know, and while other shops are scrounging to get 1 or 2 cases from a distributor, I'm, you know, finding different countries that have supply or stash of ammo, and finding quality stuff.
How does that work?
So
overseas, a purchasing
finding
of ammo.
a broker and then just having everything shipped in here. You know, it's
and I'm sure there's some type of legal process that has to go through.
It has to be approved by ATF. It has to go through brokers, and you know, there's a transaction history for everything.
Yeah.
But going to that, like, instead of going through your distributor where they're only offering you 1, 2 cases or 3 cases of ammo, you put it on the shelf for your normal price. I don't mind spending the money and spending more than what people would buy, but at least it now gives my store the extra lending hand, I guess, because now I have a constant flow of ammo. Yeah, it might be a little bit more, but I have a constant feed of ammo. You know, you're not scrounging around from store to here or there, you know, looking for the cheap stuff. You know, that's just the way that I am.
Yeah, and that's going to drive, you know, just from a business perspective, it's going to drive, you know, people into your store that are then going to purchase. My buddy I brought with me the day I purchased this gun, he was looking for ammo, and his girlfriend had known somebody that works for you, and she was saying this guy gets a good amount of ammo, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, he ended up purchasing a nice weapon for you that was probably a nice purchase, right? It wasn't something that was inexpensive.
Yeah.
So really smart from a business mindset.
I'm not about, like, there's a lot of guys in this industry that are looking to get rich quick. Everybody that knows who I am and knows where I come from, I'm doing this to do this for the rest of my life. This is now my passion.
Yeah, it's a long game.
It's the long game, you know. I'm not about getting rich, man. I drive a Chevy pickup truck, man. I got a wife and kid at home. I don't have anything fancy, you know. I want to pay my bills and be able to supply guns and ammo to the people that need it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not about getting rich, man. It's just the long road ahead, you know. Because when shit does slow down, and it will slow down, you know. This time right now that we're living in, it's crazy. You know, people are buying guns left and right.
Why do you think that is?
Politics, you know, this COVID crap, you know. I don't like getting involved in that stuff because, you know, it's always he said, she said, and, you know, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, I do my own thing. Like, if I see that there's a need for something, I'll go out, I'll spend the money, I'll get it to my store, and I'll give people the best service that they ever had. What is
the hardest ammo to get right now?
Everything's pretty tough. Like right now, I've noticed that 357 is really hard to get. 44 mag, 38 special. You know, we'll get trinkets of it in here and there, but I found that that's pretty hard to get right now.
Yeah.
12 gauge, 9mm. I mean, 9mm, we got millions of it. We got containers of it. You need it, we have a steady flow. 12 gauge buckshot slug, probably the cheapest in the state. I got 25 rounds of slug for $20, 25 rounds of 00 buck for $20. I don't think you can find that anywhere.
That's great.
And I got millions of that. You know what I mean? So
let's jump into a little bit of the business mechanics.
Yeah.
You have about, you know, when I was in there, you probably had, quick, you know, math, I think there was probably 5 or 6 people working with customers as well as yourself in there. You were painting in the back.
Yep.
How many total employees do you have?
Give or take, between part-time guys and full-time guys, I probably have 8 total.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be in that position. I'm thankful for my employees that I have now, man, because without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. You know, the store wouldn't be who we are today without them. You know, these guys are super knowledgeable in firearms. You know, my secretaries and stuff, they're awesome by, you know, calling and doing NICS checks every single day. You know, people still call and they're like, hey, when's my NICS check going to be done? You know, they're so impatient. But,
yeah. Well, you want that gun.
My ladies, every single day, man. You know, my crew, they're just awesome, man. They'll take time with customers too. Like, people come in to, you know, I've heard it from other gun stores. You know, they'll go in and they'll, you know, other gun store owners don't give you the time of day, or they just treat you like you don't know better.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want? Yeah. Like, that's not what I'm about, man. Yeah. You want to come in here, we're not just going to sell you a gun. We're going to sell you the experience. We're going to sell you, you know, information and what the firearm is. Like, and we're going to explain it to you. And if you're not comfortable with it, I always tell people, when you're purchasing your first firearm, don't just grab something off the shelf because it feels great in your hand or whatever, or you read it online. Don't follow that YouTube online bullshit, because every person is different. Yeah. It might feel good in your hand, but the moment you bring it to the range, it might be the most uncomfortable gun you've ever shot in your life.
Yeah.
Do it from personal experience. I always tell people to go to different you know, gun ranges that offer rental guns. Like, my 2 go-to places are Gun for Hire in Woodland Park, which Anthony Calandro is a great guy. He does a great podcast too for the, you know, the 2A world. I send people there because his rental wall is probably the size of my entire gun wall.
Yeah.
And then Sure Shot down in Lakewood, you know, so I give people the north or the south option. You know, they have rental guns there. Go down there, go shoot it, go try something out and see what you're going to do better with. See what you're going to group with, and then make a decision based off of that. Not just reading on something like on YouTube, like, you know, this shooter was shooting a Glock 19 and I've heard great things and now I got to own it. You know?
You're trying to create a full experience for someone. They're coming in and giving them education.
Exactly. Yeah.
So a lot of times I touch on this with other business owners, and a lot of people talk about grind, and I read it in Tim Grover's book. I think it was Winning. He was the coach of Kobe and Michael Jordan. And he talks about, what did I do with that lighter? He talks about, you know, everybody wants to grind. He said, you know, what happens when you grind something? It turns to ashes. You got to shape it. You got to form it. You know, a business for you got to make sure that you're getting the proper people in place, like your assistants who can sit there and take care of NICS checks. Yep. You're better suited painting a gun or giving education to law enforcement or doing other things the business owner does. And that sometimes can be scary, right? Because you're trying to get to a certain income level yourself, and you're like, man, I got to hire this person. This is 30 grand, 50 grand, whatever the dollar amount may be. Talk a little bit about that and kind of where your mind shift came and said, hey, I need to expand upon what I'm doing here.
You know, when I find employees and stuff, I'm always looking for somebody that's very knowledgeable in the firearms world. And I don't just hire people off the street that I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm very picky choosy when I get somebody to work for me, you know. It's either, you know, through a friend or, you know, word of mouth or, you know, a retired law enforcement, somebody that's already got history and experience in that world, you know, because anybody could sell a gun to anybody, you know. Hey, it's a 9mm gun. It's the hottest thing on the planet. You should buy it. Like, anybody could do that. But, you know, my guys know the mechanics, know the history, you know what's used, know how to take that gun apart, you know technical questions like, you know, what safeties are on it, you know, how to take the gun apart in 2 seconds, the whole nine. Like, that's the stuff that I'm looking for when I hire employees, you know. And somebody that has a sense of firearm safety, you know, because...
And you need those employees because you've done a good job marketing yourself, and I'm doing a bunch of stuff with Fireside, which is really a passion project and trying to inspire other people to take, you know, different routes than what we're socially conditioned to think is the right way to go. And, you know, a guy like you're sitting there going, you know, how do I drive more people into my store? I want to make sure I have ammo. I want to have this. But I have observed you're pretty active on social media. Yeah. And a lot of people, you know, take shots at social media, take shots at people, what they do on social media, but they don't realize the concept is getting the eyeballs on them. Now, some people do it as the villain. Some people do it as the genuine, legit guy. Other people kind of ride the fence, whatever it may be. You have a couple different social media. I think you have the Cerakote Savage, which is something you kind of launched originally when you were painting the guns. You have SE Arms. You have your own personal page, which is The Real Derek. Talk a little bit about your thought process with social media and what it's done for your business.
I've always found that social media is a funny game. You know what I mean? So how to get out there and how to get, known in the social media world is you have to have a clique.
Tribe.
You have to have a tribe on social media. So a lot of people don't notice. They're like, how do you get so many followers? Or how do you get this? Or how do you get that? Well, I put myself in good positions. I'm very picky choosy of who I want to represent my brand or shout out my company and stuff like that. I don't let anybody do it, so you got to start a tribe. There's like a handful of like 10 people that I really do close business with, and you feed off of each other. You'll post a picture, that person reposts it, tags one of their friends, that person tags our company, them, and and it just keeps on going in this circle.
Yep.
And if you keep on tagging other people, you're going from showing the 7,000 followers that I have on my page can now go to hundreds of thousands of followers on other pages because you don't know who's reposting that picture, you know?
Absolutely.
And it could be a celebrity that's got 1 million followers. It could be a celebrity that's got 100 million followers. You never know, you know what I mean? But you got to just create a tribe, and then you feed off of each other.
Yep, and you work together.
You all work together. And I like doing that, too, with local businesses as well, Like guys like yourself, too, man. I see the drive in what you're doing, man, and I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And that's something we do. You're going to go share this once Evan, who is behind the scenes all the time, but Evan edits all this, shoots the film, and puts some descriptions to these posts.
Yep.
Now, all of a sudden, you're going to share that. I'm going to pick up 10 followers, 20 followers, whatever it may be, 50 followers.
Yep.
Those are people that did not know me prior to me having you on the show,
Yep.
and vice versa.
Yep.
People in my world that don't know that your store is out there in Spotswood, and I put this post up after I purchased this weapon. I had literally 10 guys. I'd shared you a quick little text message. Where's that store at? Who's that guy? You know, and
small world.
Social media is powerful.
Yep.
And I will say this: the coaches I pay to this day still, all the big influencers out there, every single day that you are not fucking on social media, your competition's getting better at it. Every single day you're not posting a video, your competition is getting better at it. And it's something that you should have in your daily routine. Now, whether you like it or not, that's fine.
Yeah.
Hire someone to do it then.
Yep.
Grab some resources in your world and your group of people, your tribe, and there's somebody who may be really good at it and passionate about it.
Yeah.
What are some things that you would like to highlight? We've talked a lot about your service to the community, law enforcement, the qualifications of yourself, certifications that you and all your employees have. What are some other good little nuggets that you would give to an entrepreneur, not per se starting a gun shop, but just any type of small business? What are some one or two things that you think are extremely critical?
Don't be afraid to say no to things or deals. You don't need every single deal out there to grow or expand. If your gut tells you that something's not right, listen to your gut, man. There's plenty of deals or guns that I haven't sold to people because it just didn't sit right with me. So I always went with my gut. Maybe I'm a little bit different than other people, but that's what I've realized.
Now, why wouldn't you sell it to these people? You're thinking they're problematic people that may do something wrong with it, or
I don't know. I like to say that I have a sixth sense, and I feel energies and things off of people differently than other people may have, But there's times where something might risk my business or my license, you know what I mean? And I just don't sit well with it, and I'll say no to a customer. And being a dealer in New Jersey, a lot of people don't know this, but you have every right to say no to any deal that comes into your store. If somebody comes into your store and you just don't like their attitude or something like that, you don't have to sell a gun to them. You could tell them to go shop somewhere else, and I feel more people should be, a little bit more for their business. And you know, it's okay to say no to certain things. You know, that's just the way that I am.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
What is, you know, maybe one other, you know, nugget that you could pass on that, you know, I'm trying to find little clips that are coming from all these different business owners that I'm interviewing, things that may be a little bit different of a thought process in their head than someone else had mentioned already.
Just try new things, man. Just don't give up, you know. Just keep on pushing. You know, if something doesn't work, try the next thing. Just keep on going, man. Yeah. Eventually something's gonna click in your head, and you're gonna be like, you know what, this is it.
It's so true.
You're
it's
gonna
like
find
the aha moment.
You're gonna find that moment, and you're gonna be like, you know what, this is it. And that's what happened to me, man. I was working for a company, and you know, he canned me, and I said, screw it, dude. That lit such a fire under my ass. And I created this, you know, and I'm not stopping anytime soon, man. I'm gonna get bigger. I'm gonna grow more. You know, my end goal is to have one of the biggest gun stores in the country, man. That's my goal. So
yeah. What are your realistic 3 and 5 year goals from a revenue perspective? Talking just business.
My 3-year goal, probably within the next 3 years, is to find a bigger building, because I'm already outgrowing this place that I'm in now. And introducing a indoor gun range or outdoor gun range somewhere in New Jersey. You know, I'd love to stay local, because I love my town, I love the people, I love the police departments around me. You know, that's my 3-year plan, but my 5-year, man, is having something, you know, bigger than Cabela's and Bass Pro Shop out there, you know, and taking the SC brand to a whole nother level. And not many people know this, but I do have my manufacturing license, and SC Arms is an actual FFL. And, you know, whether it might be this year or 5 years from now, I will have a rifle company, and I will be a big brand.
So you'll be trying to actually design your own weapons and building them, and
from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool. That's a great goal to have for yourself.
Yep.
Well, dude, man, I appreciate you coming on. Something I like to do is have you shout out 2 other local businesses. You know, again, typically somewhere either around in your county or town, or something here in Ocean and Monmouth County, that you think, you know, does it like you do, and doesn't have to be guns, but good people.
Yeah.
You know, providing good service. You know, good customer base.
I have a lot of great friends that have a lot of businesses, but you know, I tend to find the people that have that fire under their ass. And 2 companies that I really want to shout out is a good friend of mine, Amanda, which is my wife's best friend. She's got a business that helps dogs out. It's called Protecting Paws, and she makes like these dog boxes for dogs, and you know, like a mail-in service or something. Like they'll send out packages and stuff. That's a great business. You know, Amanda, all she does is hustle, man. Doesn't matter
what's
what it is.
What's in the packages?
Different treats, goodies, you know, things for dogs and stuff like that. And I'm all about that, you know, helping animals too, because you know, there's a lot of people that don't treat animals right. So she's out there helping them out. Yeah. Any which way she can. And she's a hustler, you know. She doesn't matter what it is, you know, out taking photos, doing stuff, doing parties, you know. She's out there hustling. So she's a great addition.
And where is she out of?
She's out of Freehold area.
Freehold.
Yeah. But she's a partner with the company. You know, she'd be a great asset on this show.
Awesome. What's another business owner you would love to give away?
Another business is a friend of mine too, Kuzi. Her name's Christina, but everybody calls her Kuzi. And she owns 2 businesses. Archingle's Kitchen, where she makes custom cakes and cookies and stuff like that, and Dream It Balloon, where she does all these fancy like balloon, you know, displays for parties and engagement and, you know, birthdays and stuff like that. She's a hustler too, man. 24/7. I don't think this chick ever sleeps. You know, she's out baking cookies till 3 o'clock in the morning, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, she's in a van going to deliver balloons somewhere else. You know?
But that's what it takes. You know, people don't realize I'm out here in the misting rain with you, shooting a podcast. This is a lateral marketing strategy in regards to my business and my passion project. But I worked all day. I've been up since 4:30. I think I texted you back at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're a business owner. You got to get out there and hustle if you want to get ahead.
That's it.
You know, it's providing that lifestyle you want to live for your family.
Yeah.
Real quick, and I should have touched on it before. You have a unique gun in your place, which is autographed by Trump. So there hasn't been any other weapons that I know of that have been
To
autographed
my
by a
knowledge, and to my firearms experience, there's no other gun in the world ever signed by a president. So
Now, how do you know that that's authenticated? And
JSA authenticated, and I happen to be friends with Eric Trump. So he's a great person, great friend. He's made some amazing connections and deals happen for me. So I like to keep those things close and to myself, but without him, it wouldn't be possible. So
that's awesome.
Thank you, Eric. You're awesome.
Yeah, dude, that's cool shit.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I appreciate you coming out. Thankfully, we didn't get a super cold night. It did start to mist on us a little bit, but
that's right.
Nothing that big. Thanks for bringing out the gun.
Problem,
That's a beautiful piece that you redid there. And
thanks for having me. And this whole setup is freaking amazing. Man.
Yeah, we got the snow around us today.
Yeah,
Gave us a nice little place to stick the guns.
Next time we'll leave the guns at home and we'll have some bourbons, man.
Yeah, next time we'll do some bourbon.
For sure.
Well, dude, appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers on our
Thank you,
sparkling seltzer.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.